Welcome back to the Hedge Report, a weekend weed review. This week we were just at CannaCon, Seattle's largest convention, and last week I was in Portland for the Cannabis Collaborative Conference. So CannaCon is in its 6th anniversary, and the Collaborative Conference in Portland just celebrated their 5th year. Both have new owners. I think this is the second time they've run shows as new ownership. And it's starting to show as new states kind of come online, and MJ BizCon in Vegas has over 1,000 booths. It's starting to wean out some of those people that might decide to have a booth, as well as competition. There's Greg from Marijuana Venture, who's got a phenomenal show called Interchange, and that's for producers and processors and retailers, sort of speed dating. Every 20 minutes, the bell rings, you get up, you move around, and then you make a deal or you don't. And that's sort of starting to set the stage in terms of demand and the best use of your time. So for people to get that sale, it's more efficient to have a speed dating type scenario. This same company also puts on the RAD Expo, which is another good show. Ultimately, people are deciding where to spend their money, where to spend their time. And right now there's a lot of competition. So I don't think I will be attending either show, having gone every single year for more than half a decade. Seattle's CannaCon, which is happening right now, is actually Seattle's flagship expo and their largest industry event in the US. There's hundreds of exhibitors and over 12,000 attendees. Not anymore. No way. There's a global marketplace for education, innovative products, and businesses serving the cannabis industry. I don't know about innovative products. One of the coolest things I saw was a K-cup machine. You can put in your own CBD or THC. About 5 years ago, there was one company in Seattle, Joe's Garage, I believe, and they were the only ones that could do it. So Pot of Coffee and all these big companies ran out and grabbed all of the machines, and then finally it's taken this long. But then for whatever reason, sales in Washington don't have coffee. K-cups are out there. There's no turnkey options. Portland and down the I-5 corridor sells out throughout Oregon for coffee beverages, but for whatever reason, Washington prefers their sugary soda beverages. So CannaCon goes on to say that their expo is an interactive gathering of like-minded professionals uniting leading pioneers and entrepreneurs with investors and experts discussing the latest industry developments, which sounds very familiar, or similar, I should say, to the Cannabis Collaborative Conference last week in Portland. The Cannabis Collaborative Conference in Portland is created by the industry to gather and discuss the most pressing issues facing the maturing market. Attendees learn from thought leaders how to address high-value issues and connect with a carefully curated network of cannabis and ancillary businesses. The 2019 conference will focus on the future of the cannabis industry and will provide resources and knowledge to help your business navigate the emerging trends in CBD investment growth and changing regulatory environments. There's a lot of people who don't attend these shows anymore because they're not subject matter experts talking. The last time I went to anything to listen to anyone talk at a conference and pay for it was the Marijuana Business Conference in Las Vegas, 2017, November. So it's about a year and a half ago. And it was titled The Secrets of Banking in the Cannabis Industry and How to Get Financing. They talked about credit card advances, friends and family loans, and then the big secret was a convertible note. That's really standard. So again, there's a lot of people claiming to be subject matter experts, but it's either who's hot and popular or who do you know, but rarely do you go out and find or can afford the true subject matter experts. So I don't even bother listening. I want to go there. I want to network. I want to do business. There isn't anything worth paying for, in my opinion, that you can't find for free. I've done consulting, so it's a bit backwards thinking. I value people's opinions, but not with these trade shows. I will say that the shows do provide an opportunity for networking. The Indo Expo that comes to Portland and Denver, they have a good job fair, an expo, speakers. They have a lot of different things, but it's much more affordable. So in the long term, I kind of think of that as being more of a regional show. And then the national show, MJ BizCon, 1,000 vendors, 30,000 people. That'll be the way to go. There's still some jobs out there. Some of the C-suite executive positions are being taken over by ex-politicians as well as Fortune 500 executives. And so here is an article by CNBC News asking where the green is cannabis jobs. The cannabis industry is creating jobs at a rapid pace. A new study from employment site Glassdoor. The industry has more than 1,500 open jobs, a jump of 76% from a year earlier. The median salary is $58,000 annually, 11% higher than the US median. More than half the jobs are for professional and technical workers, such as accountants and marketing experts. And cannabis businesses are creating new jobs for a wide range of professionals. We know that cannabis is a hot topic, and we were curious if it was reflected on our jobs data, said Glassdoor economist Daniel Zhao. It's a really strong indicator of employer confidence because they're really only going to make investments in hiring if they think that it's going to grow. The median base salary was surprising because smaller businesses with passionate followings don't always offer competitive pay. For people who want to join the industry, they don't need to sacrifice pay. Cities with the highest concentration of jobs are San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Denver, with 13%, 12%, and 7% of all cannabis jobs, respectively. Some of this is hyperbole. There's a lot of jobs for retail shops, for trimmers, as well as all of these other positions, but nobody's really making money and not many companies are hiring. So while these articles get a lot of clicks, it's clickbait and really nothing more. Industry is not growing. There's just new entrants coming on and people not filing bankruptcy because you can't, but going out of business. So as new states come on board, of course, that it's going to expand and more people are going to get in the industry, but it's not a matter of companies that have been in business and are actually hiring. It's very seldom. There's a bill proposed to support marijuana in schools. This is coming out of the Bothell Reporter, a local bill proposed by Rep. Brian Blake out of Aberdeen would allow cannabis on school campuses for students required for medical conditions. I think that's great. I don't think they necessarily need to smoke a joint, but if there's an asthmatic style inhaler that they can use, or a chewy or something of that nature, I'm all for it. It should be just as legal as any other medication. A college in New York is offering students a Cannabis Industry Minor. The school is currently in development stages for the program, but hopes to have it ready to offer for students in the upcoming fall semester. Quote, we're an agriculture and technology college. Our job is to train the workers that are on the ground in the workforce, and that's our goal. That's what we're doing. So if these jobs are going to be there, we need to make sure our graduates are the ones filling those positions. The school plans to use its expertise with the hemp plant and indoor farming, which they expect many cannabis growers to use to help with the Cannabis Industry Minor. On the flip side, it looks like Idaho State Police needs some educating. They announced that they made the largest pot bust in the agency's history. Idaho State Police officials say troopers made the biggest marijuana bust in the agency's known history after a semi-truck allegedly filled with nearly 7,000 pounds of marijuana plants was stopped between Boise and Mountain Home. All of that except the driver's bill of landing said that the trailer was carrying 31 bags of hemp. So whoever bought this had to wait for it to be in quarantine and go through all this hyperbole before they were able to actually offload it and use it. The Super Bowl could use some educating. There was a cannabis commercial that was turned down recently. Cannabis company Acreage Holdings says that CBS has rejected a proposed ad on the topic. The 60-second commercial featured 3 people with health issues, including a Colorado boy, describing how medical marijuana has improved their lives. It closes with a call to viewers to lobby Congress for changes to federal marijuana laws. We definitely want to underscore the fact that we don't begrudge CBS or the NFL in any way. They're just doing what they can and need to be doing to protect themselves. Acreage Holdings, which counts former House Speaker John Boehner among its backers, had hoped the proposed Super Bowl ad would be taken as a call to action rather than one promoting a particular product, Bloomberg reported. We certainly thought there was a chance, company president George Allen said. Despite the blocks in the US, European cannabis products have been more popular than ever, or than expected. According to Canaccord Genuity, a cannabis-derived cannabidiol, better known as CBD, has become a trendy ingredient in a range of consumer goods and is now highly visible in pharmacies and health stores. It estimates the CBD product market in Europe was worth 750 million euros to 1 billion last year, potentially 5 times the estimate it made in August. The listed marijuana market remains very small in Europe, particularly in comparison to the boom in that sector in Canada. But big European names have started to get involved. Beer giant Anheuser-Busch signed a research partnership with Canada's Tilray in December, and Swiss drug maker Novartis reached a similar deal with Tilray the same week. Cannabis made its debut in Davos, sharing a spotlight with global elites. Marijuana executives were hobnobbing with queens and prime ministers. The challenges remain as pot ad bans on the Super Bowl broadcast. So if more proof was needed that cannabis is becoming accepted by the world's financial and political elite, what better place to find it than at the Swiss ski resort of Davos? While the annual cadre of billionaires, politicians, and bankers debate the hot topic of the day, there was Bruce Linton of Canopy Growth extolling the virtues of legal pot with the Congolese queen. In an era when everyone from former Speaker of the House John Boehner to ex-Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney and former Mexican President Vincent Fox sit on the board of cannabis farms, such a matchup no longer seems bizarre. But if you had to hold someone at Davos 2 years ago that the former White House communications director would be interviewing a former Israeli prime minister about the benefits of medical marijuana, they might have thought you were smoking too much of the product. Upcoming events this week, Slang Worldwide will be trading January 29th on the Canadian Securities Exchange with an approximate value of $500 million. The CanTech Investment Conference runs from January 29th through the 30th in Toronto. The Canadian stock ticker POT, which formerly belonged to Potash, is up for grabs. Organigram Holdings plans to report earnings, and 2019's North American Cannabis Summit focused on public health will be held January 28th through the 30th in Los Angeles. So this article comes out saying that your cannabis company can get a bank account, but not easily. Opening an account is challenging, but in many states, banks are increasingly accepting deposits from cannabis companies, partly because they don't want to miss out on all the fun. They're at risk of losing their federal charter. Difficulty accessing typical business banking services has plagued the cannabis industry since its inception. While cannabis remains a largely cash-based industry in some states, numerous companies have managed to tactfully operate around financial obstacles with some success. The main concern banks have is that because marijuana remains a Schedule I of the Controlled Substances Act, which prohibits deposits from cannabis businesses that actually handle the plant, which can be deemed money laundering. Under federal laws, money obtained from illegal transaction cannot be FDIC insured, and banks are required to insure all their depository accounts. However, more banks are accepting of cannabis than ever before. Banking in the industry requires deft maneuvering, to say the least. Cannabis companies across the country are constantly at risk of account closure, which some politicians have argued make it harder to determine the legitimacy. Outlook on banking and cannabis, there's a lot to be excited about. Enacting the States Act pending in Congress would be a large step forward. There haven't been any policy improvements on the federal level as of yet, but there are several indicators of a coming change. The fact that more financial institutions are working with cannabis doesn't mean that your state has more open doors than last year. It simply means that more states have legalized. However, that indicates a growing acceptance of the plan. The American Bankers Association has also called for a change after surveying their members. They too see the faults in the current system and are beginning to call on legislatures to act. My in-house accountants also predict states will begin to push for a better solution in the near future, and that all of these factors together, the possibility of improvements, become much more likely. The legitimacy of the industry has definitely been providing for a lot of companies to go public, to get the capital they need, to expand, to increase sales, to scale up, to provide for international exports. So all of this is providing a whirlwind of financial opportunities. So cannabis stocks are getting their second wind. So the cannabis stocks have been a volatile group over the past few months, but Jim Cramer offered a few predictions for 2019 during his Mad Money program Monday night. So these forecasts could help investors sort through the myriad of confusing investment options. Jim Cramer predicts his future for the cannabis industry. On CNBC's Mad Money, Jim Cramer spoke about the future of cannabis industry. The sector traded higher on Monday on no real news, so Jim Cramer said that he can't recommend cannabis stocks as a buy. It will be possible to buy the equities at a cheaper price, the CNBC host said, adding that he still believes that legalized marijuana is one of the greatest growth stories of the era. Cramer named 5 predictions for the cannabis industry in 2019. The legalization wave swept North America will continue, Cramer said. Nearly every time the issue comes to a vote, legalization wins. And New York Governor Andrew Cuomo came out in favor of recreational marijuana late last year. Cramer projects a rise in cannabidiol or CBD. In December, President Donald Trump signed the federal farm bill that legalized the cultivation of industrial hemp. Cramer says he sees enormous opportunity in CBD due to its sustainability for medical use, suitability for medical use. Patients have all of the benefits without getting stoned, he said. This year, we'll see an emergence of a handful of major operators, naming Canopy Growth Corp, Kronos Capital, Tilray, and Aurora Cannabis as companies that have already separated from the rest of the pack. By the end of the year, major marijuana brands will be household names, the CNBC host said. If lawmakers allow it, marketing activities and celebrity endorsements are next. As marijuana companies move up, Wall Street will pay more attention to biotechs like GW Pharma and Corbus Pharmaceutical Holdings. The companies are producers of artificial cannabidiol, and Cramer said they could benefit from the popularity of medical marijuana due to dosing problems faced by the sector. When a pullback in the sector occurs, Cramer said he'll put Canopy Growth and Kronos Group on his shopping list. The rally resumed in pot stocks. Here's a weekly cannabis report. Cannabis stocks resumed rally late last week with HMMJ up 4% and MJ up 3.2%. Both ETFs remain well below their September highs. Canopy gained another 11% after Piper Jaffray hiked its target price by 50% after the U.S. hemp entry, and stock up 80% in January so far. The sector has recovered only some of the losses it experienced since September 2018, and we think the rise of a pullback remains benign. The rally resumed late last week while extending impressive returns in January so far. The Horizons Marijuana Life Index ETF rose 4%, and the ETFMG Alternative Harvest ETF gained 3.2%. Both ETFs have gained around 30% during the first 3 weeks of this year. What I've noticed at a lot of these events is a massive influx and wave of CBD brands where they have the same topicals or tinctures or honey sticks or water, and they just put their name on it. It's been my opinion that in the past, brands don't matter, sales do. And I still think that we're there, but brands are becoming more and more important. As these Canadian companies are going public and US companies fleeing to the Canadian markets for capital, you're going to see a lot of consolidations and buyouts, companies going out of business. And so it'll be interesting, especially with the acceptance of the Farm Bill. So cannabis stocks are looking to flourish thanks to Trump signing the 2018 Farm Bill. So just a couple highlights. The 2018 Farm Bill separated hemp from the legal definition of marijuana. The non-psychoactive CBD can be derived from hemp, and CBD is seen as a highly marketable product with possible medical benefits. The 2018 Farm Bill removed all cannabis fiber products with less than 0.3% concentration of the psychoactive element tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, from the Controlled Substances Act. That means that it's now legal to manufacture, distribute, and sell hemp-derived cannabidiol, or CBD, anywhere in the United States. CBD is viewed by many to have medical benefits, providing relief from anything from pain to depression and anxiety. So on the Marijuana Business Daily page for weekly deal watches, we can see that the size of cannabis capital raises continue to climb, though the frequency lags. So it's not happening as often, but more money is coming in, which tells me that people are looking for alternative investments. Maybe it's speculative, as their other equities or investment vehicles aren't producing the same type of return on investment, or possibly FOMO, that fear of missing out because they heard about that IPO, is where I'm guessing a lot of this new money is coming in at. So fundraising from North American cannabis firms have yet to outpace levels logged this time last year, but the size of the average capital raise is steadily climbing, according to the latest data. Through the fourth week of January, public cannabis companies have raised almost $400 million, with an average funding round of almost $25 million, according to the data tracked by Viridian Capital Advisors. That's up nearly 45% from the year after. For private firms, the average raise is ranging in from 20 million up from 17 million last year. All told, the public and private cannabis firms have raised almost 700 million, down from 820 million during the same time last year. Quote, while we're seeing capital being raised with less frequency, we are seeing larger significant tranches of capital being raised, especially among the Canadian licensed producers as they expand in Canada and internationally, end quote. Here's a list of some of the top cannabis companies filtered by market cap. A lot of these companies wouldn't have the ability to expand or scale because without traditional banking, none of this would even be an option. So they're essentially financial refugees of their own country if they're in the US by going to Canada, seeking reverse mergers or IPOs, and then ideally getting involved in an index to expand that market cap. Banking, the US cannabis industry, is the picture getting any clearer? At the moment, the US has 32 states where medical marijuana is legal and 10 that allow adult recreational use. The number of banking firms that provide services for marijuana firms have grown by 20% since the beginning of 2018, bringing the total to 375 banks and 111 credit unions. Meanwhile, the federal level, the legislation was drafted to allow states to regulate their own cannabis industries without federal intervention. The industry should take heart, however, that FinCEN guidance clarifying how financial institutions can provide services to cannabis-related businesses consistent with the Bank Secrecy Act obligations has become a workable model. A track record of successful implementations of the guidelines plus bank audits confirming strict compliance has created access for cannabis businesses for full service traditional bank accounts provided by participating financial institutions. U.S. affiliated medical cannabis companies dominated cannabis securities exchange fundraising in 2018, raising nearly $2 billion through 50 equity-related deals. As of December 2018, 47% of the 124 cannabis-related companies traded on the Canadian Stock Exchange. The rapid growth spurt in the cannabis trade was bolstered by Canada's decision to legalize cannabis in October. The move sparked a light under venture capital investments and deals, and by the end of 2018, 8 cannabis companies were listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange and 37 on the junior TSX Venture Exchange. Meanwhile, developments in the U.S. remain more convoluted. While some states have legalized cannabis, helping mom and pop shops come up and around in the U.S., the federal government still holds cannabis as a Schedule I drug, or the same category as heroin. Consequently, handling any finances associated with cannabis is considered abetting. While the big institutional money has been slow getting through financial regulations to invest in the space, retail investors have already been stepping up. Some have turned to cannabis-related ETFs, such as the ETFMG Alternative Harvest ETF, first U.S.-listed ETF to target the cannabis and marijuana industry, and the Advisor Shares Vice ETF, which includes a smaller tilt towards the industry. As a result of the Farm Bill and other legislation and companies jumping in, Whole Foods isn't going to miss out. Having recently been acquired by Amazon, they're going to enter in the cannabinoid category with the Emerald Health Bioceuticals, the world's first non-cannabis nutraceutical supplement supporting human endocannabinoid system, will launch in major retailer. Coming on the heels of that news, Joe Montana makes a blockbuster investment. Football legend is joining the weed game. $75 million investment into a California-based cannabis company, according to the Associated Press. Saliva? No, Caliva. The most trusted brand in cannabis is the recipient of the investment, which will be used to flesh out a vertically integrated company, including a farm, retail store, delivery center, and more. While it's unknown the amount Montana personally put up, this isn't the first time the football great has invested in cannabis. Previously, he invested in the marijuana media company, Herb. And yet the NFL still doesn't want any advertising. It's $5 million that they turned down for an ad. So still fighting for that. And on a closing note, here are the Ashlanders. They unveiled a hemp cigarette at the Portland Cannabis Conference a couple weeks ago. Ashland went to the Cannabis Business Conference in Portland last week to sell their new brand of hemp cigarettes. There's a lot of interest, said, of their CBD cigs, which are also available at Puff Smoke and Shop in Ashland. People seem pretty excited about our product. We just started manufacturing these 2 months ago. This is our soft launch. The nicotine-free hemp-derived CBD cigarettes are described as an alternative to tobacco and marijuana. The cigarettes, which contain less than 0.03% THC, also include a pinch of organically grown herbs, red raspberry leaf, Damiana mullen, and are packed into 100% biodegradable, organic, and unbleached filter tubes. Each cigarette has 90 milligrams of CBD, and a pack of 10 costs $44.95. And with that, that is it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned next week for another edition of the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Super Chronics, and I'm out.